Hello, third grade, and welcome to lesson 15-2. In this lesson, we're going to focus on classifying shapes. When you classify something, you figure out what it has in common with other shapes, and you group it. Let's go ahead and watch our short video lesson, and then we'll jump into our notes and our guided practice together.
How can you describe different groups of shapes? Let's look at some different ways. Ethan made two groups of polygons. How are the groups different? How are the groups alike? When you classify groups of shapes, you identify the attributes of each and then compare them with other shapes. What is the middle figure in Group 1? Why can it be included in Group 1? The middle figure in Group 1 is a square. A square is a special type of rhombus. It is a rhombus with 4 right angles. Could a trapezoid also be included in Group 1? No, a trapezoid has just one pair of sides that never cross. A rhombus is a parallelogram, and a parallelogram has 2 pairs of sides that never cross. Here are some ways the two groups are different. In Group 1, each polygon has sides that are all the same length. In Group 2, each polygon has sides that are not all the same length. In Group 1, each polygon has 2 pairs of sides that never cross. In Group 2, each polygon has only 1 pair of sides that never cross. Here are some ways the two groups are alike. In Group 1 and Group 2, all of the polygons have 4 sides. In Group 1 and Group 2, all of the polygons have 4 angles. In Group 1 and Group 2, all of the polygons are quadrilaterals because they all have 4 sides.
All polygons with 4 sides are quadrilaterals.
Now you know how to describe different groups of shapes.
All right, now that we've finished with our short video lesson, let's jump into our notes and our guided practice together. Now, our notes for 15-2 focus on classifying shapes. How can you describe different groups of shapes? You can look at the attributes to see what they have in common and what's different. Look at some of these to help you. The number of sides and vertices, the size of the shape. Do they have concave or convex angles? Do they have parallel sides? Now, parallel, in case you forgot, means they have sides that will never touch each other. So they are sides that if you stretch them out as lines, they'll always run next to each other, but they'll never cross. When you classify or group shapes, you identify or figure out the attributes of each and compare them with other shapes. So here I have 2 groups. And I want to focus on these 2 questions. How are the shapes in Group 1 and Group 2 different? Which larger group of polygons do they all belong to? So I need to stop and think. I know that all of these shapes have 3 sides, but I see that Group 1 all have right angles in them, and Group 2 don't have any right angles in them. The shapes in Group 2 all have 2 sides that are the same length. I put the little tick marks here to show you that these match each other. And they have opposite angles that have the same measurement. Group 2 doesn't have any sides that are the same length. So the shapes in Group 1 all have right angles. This means that they are all right triangles. And Group 2, since they have 2 sides that are the same length and opposite angles that match each other, that means these are all isosceles triangles. We learned about different kinds of triangles earlier in the year. Now, all these shapes are all part of the triangle family or the triangle classification because they're all 3-sided polygons. Let's take a look at another example. And this is one that you're going to find in your book. Says Victoria wants to make a 2-sided she wants to make two same-sized rhombuses. What tools could she use to make this? Explain. So I want to stop and think. If I want to make two rhombuses, a rhombus has four sides, so two of them is going to be 4 plus 4, or 8 sides altogether. Now she needs a tool to make all 8 sides that are the same length. So I want to think of something I can use to make the sides all the same. I can use toothpicks or markers, or maybe unused crayons. Those are all the same size. And I can use those to make the sides of the rhombuses, and that will make the rhombuses all the same size. Another example says, what shape is not always a rectangle, but is a quadrilateral? So if it's not always a rectangle, we have to look at one of the more general ones. So the easiest one with the fewest rules over here in this family is quadrilateral. It's just 4 sides. Then it breaks into ones that are more specific. This is the same thing that we learned in lesson 1. A parallelogram has 4 sides, but it also has 2 sets of parallel sides. And then a rectangle has 4 sides and 2 sets of parallel sides, and all the angles are right angles. And then a square has all sides that are equal in length and all right angles. So you can see as you go across this family tree, they have more and more rules. So we want to find one that is not always a rectangle. So one that's a little bit less, has less rules than a rectangle. So we're going to go back, and it's going to be a parallelogram. So a parallelogram is always a quadrilateral, and it's sometimes a rectangle, because a parallelogram can also sometimes be a rhombus, remember. Let's take a look at our guided practice here. Nellie drew a group of rectangles and a group of trapezoids. How are the shapes in each group different? Well, we know rectangles have 4 right angles and the opposite sides are equal length. So the long sides are the same as the short sides. And trapezoids do not have right angles, and their opposite sides are not the same length. Number 2, how are rectangles and trapezoids alike? They all have 4 sides and 4 angles. What larger group do they belong to? All of them are quadrilaterals. They're all 4-sided shapes. Draw a shape that belongs to Ethan's group 1, which was the rhombuses. So I drew an example of a rhombus here. You could have also drawn a square to put in there. For number 5, draw a shape that belongs to Ethan's group 2, which was trapezoids. So you could have just drawn another trapezoid. For number 6, why is there a square in group 1? Well, we know that a square is a special kind of rhombus because all 4 sides are equal, like a rhombus. All right, that takes us to the end of lesson 15.2. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.